Hey guys, today we're going to go over the Bronfman family. And the Bronfman family is tied to Nexium, it's tied to Epstein, it's tied to the Rothschilds, it's tied to a lot of things. The family itself is. The Bronfman family name came up with Nexium, but it's also tied to Epstein. So we're over here on frankreport.com, and the title of this article is A True History and Sinister Origin of the Bronfman Family Wealth. Now, I'm going to try, guys, to make quite a few videos because I'm going to be down for a while. It's looking like anywhere from 6 weeks to up to 12 weeks because I'm going to have surgery done on my ankle. It got fractured in 3 places, and I've got one bone that is 180 degrees turned out of place. So as soon as I'm able to, I'll be going in for surgery, and when I do, I'll be down probably for a good solid week before I'm released from the hospital. So just a heads up, let you guys know what's going on. I'm going to try to be making videos as much as I can between now and the surgery, and then once I'm out of the surgery, obviously I won't be able to work, so I'll try to continue to make videos once I'm able to get around. Right now I'm barely able to get around, so let's go ahead and get started with this article. Now, this was posted back in January 17th of 2018. So this is an old article, and yet a lot of people have not heard it or read it and do not understand where the Bronfman family came from and what it's all about, and how that by buying their products we are participating in child sacrifice and many other evil things that are going on. So Claire and Sarah Bronfman, who found Nexium with Keith Raniere, are the granddaughters of Samuel Bronfman. In Yiddish, Bronfman means liquor man. The family is Russian Jewish. Now this is going to be important because you got to remember that we are saving Israel for last, okay, as far as the Q plan is concerned. Now during Canada's Prohibition 1915 through 19, Sam Bronfman, with brothers Abe, Harry, and Ellen, turned their hotel and prostitution operations into boozeriums. Business was brisk until 1918, when a law was passed that prohibited the manufacture of importation of alcohol. There was a loophole that permitted distribution of pharmacists of alcohol for medicinal purposes. The Bronfmans went into the mail order business, putting labels on their whiskey such as Rockabye Cough Cure and Dandy Bracer Liver and Kidney Cure. It contained sugar, molasses, bluestone, 36% alcohol, and tobacco. With the passage of the Volstead Act in 1919, making and drinking liquor illegal in the United States, Sam and Harry opened export houses along the Saskatchewan-North Dakota border, and they reduced 65 overproof white alcohol, mixing it with water, some real whiskey, and a bit of burnt sugar. A shot of sulfuric acid simulated the aging process. Their whiskey cost $24 per barrel and sold by the barrel for $140. Sam and his brothers cut distribution deals with Arnold Rothstein, Mayer Lansky, Charles, quote, Lucky, end quote, Lucino, and Arthur Dush Schultz of Flehimer. Sorry guys about the names. I'm not good with names, especially names that aren't genuinely American. So just forgive me on that. Just get the information from it, and let's continue. In Detroit, the Little Jewish Navy of Morris Dahle of ferried Bronfman booze into the U.S. In Chicago, Big Jim Colsimo alienated Bronfman by showing little interest in patronizing his liquor, preferring to focus on drugs, prostitution, and loan sharking. When Big Jim passed away suddenly, his nephew, John Torrio, took over, and soon enough, Bronfman liquor flowed into Chicago. Torrio's Lieutenant Al Capone. Now we're tying in Al Capone to this as well. See, guys, everything is tied to the Bronfman family. Everything is. And so, who's coming next? Probably somebody in the Bronfman family, or even higher up, maybe in the Rothschild section or something of that nature. But anyway, Torrio's Lieutenant Al Capone ran Bronfman booze from Saskatchewan to Minneapolis, then to Chicago, using cars, trucks, and so line. Benjamin, quote, Bugs, end quote, Siegel and Lansky protected Bronfman liquor shipments across the border against hijackers. To meet demand, Bronfman brought up stretches of farmland along the border and built an underground pipeline to pump Seagram chicken cock, a mixture of pure alcohol, sulfuric acid, caramel, water, and aged rye whiskey, into the United States. Between 1920 and 1930, 34,000 Americans died from alcohol poisoning. Okay, again, this is tied to the Bronfman family. In 1924, Bronfman opened a distillery in Montreal. In 1926, the Distillery Corporation of London, that's the DCL, owned by Field Marshal Haig, Lord Dewar, Lord Wollavington, and others, and which controlled more than half the world's market in Scotch whiskey, partnered with Bronfman. They formed a holding company with DCL's William Ross as president, Sam Bronfman vice president. Bronfman became a, quote, cutout, end quote, for the men behind DCL, and the dispensation of distribution rights was a decision made by His Majesty, the King. It began as a three-way contract between Britain, that's the supplier, the Bronfmans, the cutout, and the Rothsteins, the distributor. It evolved into a nationally organized crime syndicate. Okay, again, guys, when you're dealing with these families and you're dealing with these certain people, you're dealing with a totally different class of people than you and I. You and I descend down from the Creator through Adam, all the way through the flood of Noah, and then all the way through time to now. There's another class of people that descend down, not from the Creator and not from Adam, but start with Cain, which is Abel's brother, and come down through time, come through the flood, through the sons of Noah, the genealogy does, and the wives of Noah, and then come down through our time. These are the same people that were the pharaohs of old when the Israelites came out of Egypt, and the power of God was displayed then, just as it's being displayed here and now today. So you're dealing with a totally different class of people, and these people control and run everything that goes on the earth. They control your media, they control your superstars, they control your sports entertainment, all entertainment. They control your radio, they control your food, they control everything, guys, absolutely everything. And they are a crime syndicate, and they worship Baal, or they worship their father, which is the devil, and they sacrifice children to him and do all sorts of unimaginable, evil, wicked, sinister things. Okay, so you're dealing with an organized crime syndicate when you're dealing with the Rothsteins and the Bronfmans. Okay, so Rothstein was assigned the job of reorganizing crime networks. He set up syndicates on the East Coast with the help of Torrio. A special bureau was set up by Lansky and, quote, Bugs, and, quote, Siegel, called Murder, Inc., was formed as a regulatory commission to police free enterprise advocates who might try to buck the syndicate and interfere with booze sales. After Rothstein died suddenly in 1928, Torrio and his first meeting of the syndicate in Cleveland, had his first meeting of the syndicate in Cleveland. The third item on the agenda was what to do after Prohibition. Torrio proposed narcotics. Rothstein, Lansky, and Licanius traveled to Shanghai and Hong Kong to streamline and expand the drug trade into the United States, negotiating with Chinese drug runners who were pressured by the British, quote, business community, end quote, to pull together an opium cartel expansion of Shanghai, heroin into the United States. Now, all this time, guys, you've been hearing about and being told about Russia, 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 Russia. The end game had nothing to do with Russia. Okay, there was a 16-year plan where they were going to put Obama in, and then Hillary was supposed to come in afterwards until God stepped in and put Trump in her place. But she was supposed to come in afterwards. She was going to bring down the United States. They were going to use China, the second world power as far as economy, to basically take down the United States using bioweapons. And I'm talking about not bioweapons like you're thinking of, but bioweapons that specifically target blacks, whites, and so forth, but leave out the orange people or the Chinese people. So we're talking about biological weapons that target specific types of people that would wipe those people out. We're also talking about nuclear war. We're talking about all sorts of unimaginable evils that were going to be done against the United States in order to bring about this one world totalitarianism, one world enslavement, and under one religion, under one government. That was the end game and the goal of it all. And you're going to find out all this goes back to China, not to Russia. And you're going to find out it has to do with controlling where all the oil flows in the world, through the oceans and through the different waters. Watch the waters, he said. They were going to seize control of whoever controls that movement of oil, which is the energy of the world right now, controls the world. Okay, so let's get back to this article, guys, and not try to stay on topic for you guys. The Bronfmans created the Atlas Shipping Company and moved their smuggling operations to the French island of Saint Pierre and Miquelon, 15 miles off the Newfoundland coast. From Bermuda, St. John, New Brunswick and Belize, the Atlas Shipping Company was one of the first ties laid down in the money drug underground railway between Canada and the Caribbean. With Bronfman's enormous assistance and substantial chunk of the world's financial system became devoted to moving, laundering, and investing drug money from the Hong Kong and Shanghai Bank to the offshore havens in the Caribbean to the biggest banks in the United States, Britain, Canada, and Switzerland. The system revolved around drug money. With the repeal of prohibition and with the Shanghai opium deal in operation, the Bronfmans went legit. The new phase of respectability signaled that the most successful big-time whiskey bootleggers were switching to big-time narcotics. And here you have a picture of Sam Bronfman. That's what he looks like. Get used to these faces, get used to these names, guys. They will be coming up in the news. Just like you're going to be seeing Rachel Chandler coming up in the news. That's what Q told us to watch for next. And we're also supposed to be keeping an eye over there on California, guys. Just like we saw what was going on in New York. And in my opinion, what happened in New York is you had the number 71, which when you reverse that, that's 17. And then you had the number 42 come up several times, guys. 42. So it looks to me like 17 was taking out 42. So Q was taking out the Clintons. But we'll have to wait and see exactly what happened there. That's just my opinion based on the information and that we were given. So the British realized the Bronfmans would be a liability if they continued to work as openly with their distributors in narcotics trafficking as they did running prohibition. They could not afford to dump Bronfman. The family had become irreplaceable due to its in-depth control over the syndicates which were needed to pump drugs into America. So these guys were at the head of all the drug movement, of all the crime syndicates, and all the different various things that were in place. The Bronfmans were the ones that were over it all and had control of it all. The problem was resolved by bringing Bronfman into the lower rungs of the Hoffgenden caste. Sam's children were welcomed into the Hoffman elite by intermarriage. Again, they always keep it inside the families. All these 13 bloodlines, these families that descend down from the pharaohs and all the way back down to Cain, always keep the marriage in the bloodline. Almost overnight, the Rothschilds, now here's the Rothschilds, the Montefieros, de Hershey's et al. Took Mr. Sam, the crime czar of North America, and transferred him into a rising star of the Canadian Zionist movement. Now, if you remember on JFK Jr., his tattoo, he's got that dagger piercing through the Z, the Zionism. Okay, again, the whole Israel thing is being saved for the end, and really and truly it has to be saved for the end. In 1934, Sam was made chairman of the National Jewish People's Relief Committee in Canada. Okay, so Sam became the chairman of the National Jewish People's Relief Committee in Canada. By 1939, he was appointed head of Baron de Hirsch Jewish Colonization Association. The Canadian Pacific Corporation invited Sam to establish a refugee organization for Eastern European Jews. He became head of the Canadian Jewish Committee. After World War II, Sam established the National Conference of Israeli and Jewish Rehabilitation. The, quote, legitimate, end quote, enterprises the Bronfmans moved into were intermeshed with companies controlled by leading opium leaders. Using the name of the distillery he had purchased, Sam funded Joseph E. Seagram and Sons Incorporated. Despite the fact he built Seagram's with his brothers, Sam decided the business was his alone. He forced his brothers out and declared that only his sons, Edgar and Charles, would work for Seagram. Now, those of you that that drink Seagram's or 7 and 7 and so forth and so on, you are literally funding child sacrifice. You're literally funding the drug cartels. You're literally funding the crime syndicates and so forth and so on. Just so that you're aware of this and understand that they continue based on us purchasing their products and continuing to cause them to become wealthier and wealthier. It's just for you to understand. I'm not condemning nobody or anything like that. I'm just trying to help you to have an understanding here. So Bronfman expanded Seagram to sell in 150 countries. His operation constituting the largest liquor distribution system in world history. Wherever Seagram branches appeared on the map, they were intermeshed with narcotics runners. Oh, and by the way, you had Q come out and say the hunters are becoming the hunted. And I don't know if you understand this or not, but the goal, part of the 16-year plan to destroy America and take over the entire earth was that they were going to open up the borders, and then they were going to inject these sicknesses, these illnesses, these diseases, and all these different things into these people, and then send them through the southern border and invade the United States. It's a real war, what is going on down at the border. It is not just happenstance, and it's not just Soros funding it. Soros is tied to narcotics. He's tied to the elite. He's tied to everything that's going on with Nexium and all the other stuff too. His name is going to be coming up again and again and again as well. And you're going to find out that the whole point of the southern invasion, and that's what it is, that's truly what it is, an invasion, when you got a bunch of illegal, non-citizen people going through our southern border, that is an invasion. No matter how you look at it, that's really what it is. They are not legal. If they were legal and they were all coming through, you wouldn't be able to consider it an invasion. But they were going to put things into these people, sicknesses and diseases and illnesses, and then send them into the United States and cause a major wipeout. Okay, and that's not including the tactical weapons that they had off on the islands that they were going to be sending in. And by the way, do some research, guys, on Richard Branson's island. Okay, not just Epstein. Epstein's island's right near Richard Branson's island. And they were going in and out of Epstein's island through submarine and helicopter, not aircraft. Okay, so things that you might want to look into, or maybe I'll make some videos on them as well. We'll see. Okay, so Seagram acquired West Indies distilleries, which would introduce Captain Morgan's, Miser's Woods, and Trelawney labels. Seagram purchased Chivas, Regal, Mum's Champagne, Perrier Watt Champagne, Barton and Gastier. And I'm sorry, guys, like I said, I'm not good with French terminology. Just take the information because the information is valuable. Augier Ferrers, Paul Mason, vineyards and distribution rights to Obsolete Vodka. Okay, so vodka's coming into this as well here. Seagram's invested in the Alberta-based oil company, Royalite. He purchased the Frankfurt Oil Company and expanded Tropicana products with the purchase of the beverage operations of Dole Food Company. His son, Edgar, married Anne Loeb, daughter of Loeb Rhodes and Company, in 1953, bringing the Bronfmans into Wall Street. They had 5 children together. That was Samuel, Edgar Jr., Holly, Matthew, and Adam. In 1957, Edgar became Seagram's president. And remember, Edgar's the son of Sam. In 1963, Seagram acquired the Texas Pacific Coal and Oil Company. Frankfurt and Texas Pacific were merged to form Texas Pacific Oil Company, Inc. In 1969, Sam was made a Knight of Grace of the Most Venerable Order of St. John of Jerusalem, Her Majesty Official Chivalric Order. He won the Order of Canada, the country's highest honor for lifetime achievement. And guys, understand, these people that get these highest awards and highest honors are very, very deeply connected to the cabal and to the deep state and to this enemy of ours. And I'm telling you right now, guys, this battle is between Cain and Abel. This is the battle that started with Cain and Abel, and it's culminating in our time and in our age. And people are just now beginning to realize all this kind of stuff. But this is a very real battle, and it is a battle between good and evil. It has nothing to do with religion. It has nothing to do with Christianity or Muslims or Buddhists or any other religion, guys. This is strictly a battle between good and evil, and good will win. That is, God himself will win. This is his battle, not ours. We're here to pray. We're here to do our part, spiritually speaking, not combatively. In 1971, hang on one second, guys. I got my legs hurt. Hang on. Okay, so in 1971, at age of 81, the old murderer, murderer from the beginning, children of Cain, guys. This is exactly what's happening on the earth today. This is a real battle, guys. It is very real. The old murderer turned knight, Sam Bronfman, died of prostate cancer. On the day of his funeral, Montreal's airport had to be temporarily closed to regular traffic due to the arrival of so many private jets shuttling in dignitaries from around the world to pay their respects. So all important people all over the world came to this guy's funeral. This is how important the Bronfmans are. Edgar assumed family leadership. In 1975, Edgar married Rita Webb, who gave birth to Sarah and Claire Bronfman. Now, that's the ones that are tied to NXIVM that were found guilty. In 1978, Bronfman wealth was estimated to be about $7 billion. That's $28 billion in 2018 dollars. Pushing close to $1 trillion in 2019 probably. And remember that the executive order against human trafficking and all this kind of stuff allows the president to seize these assets, guys. And this is very, very important that we are seizing these assets. And you'll understand why in later videos or in later Q posts. Either way, it works out. Edgar became president of the World Jewish Congress, here we go again, in 1981, and decided that his son, Edgar Jr., would be his business successor. Seagram purchased 15% interest in Time Warner Inc., $2.2 billion. So now you see that they're tied into the entertainment side of things as well. In the mid-1990s, Bronfman Jr. sold Seagram's stake in DuPont, receiving $11 billion, and DuPont is another of the 13 bloodlines, by the way. Seagram acquired 84% of MCA Inc. for $5.7 billion. MCA, whose name Seagram changed to Universal Studios Inc. So when you're watching movies and you see the Universal Studios, you're funding the Bronfman family. Included Universal Pictures Film Studios, MCA Television Group, MCA Music Entertainment Group, Universal Theme Parks, and Spencer Gifts. In 1997, Seagram divested its holdings in Time Warner, ending up with a profit of $2.13 billion. Seagram then purchased USA Networks. In 1998, Seagram sold its juice business to Pepsi for $3.3 billion. In 2000, Edgar Jr. exchanged his family's entire firm, that's booze, music labels, TV production contracts, U.S. theme parks, and all, for $34 billion in stock in Vivendi, a French sewer and filtration outfit intent on transforming itself into a global entertainment conglomerate. Global. Okay? You see how this global government, global religion all comes together, and they haven't stopped, guys. They continue to carry on the agenda, the big lie of aliens and an alien invasion or good aliens coming and so forth and so on, guys. All you got to do is go back to the days of Noah to understand what's going on today and to come out of it, and so that you have eyes to see and ears to hear. Everyone's been programmed, so nobody has eyes to see or ears to hear. As you deprogram, you have eyes to see and ears to hear. You can see what's really going on. You can hear what's really going on, and you're no longer overtaken by the enemy that's been controlling us through sorcery, witchcraft, spells, magic, and all sorts of things, using TV, lies, deceptions, all sorts of things in order to control the minds of men this entire time. Edgar Jr. was named Executive Vice President of Vivendi Universal, but Vivendi CEO Jean-Marie Messier did not make good on his promise to merge the two companies into a media giant. Instead, he made a number of deals that drove the share price down to a fraction of what it was when Vivendi acquired Seagram. All told, on this deal, the Bronfman family lost about 2/3 of the fortune accumulated since Sam and his brothers' bootlegging and murder days in the 1920s. In 2004, Edgar Jr., trying to make a comeback, put together a group of investors to buy the music operations of Time Warner Inc. Sadly, it was another boneheaded investment. The traditional industry survival depended on selling $20 CDs, not $1 downloads. Remember when all of a sudden you could get online and just download the music for a few dollars, and then eventually you could download it for free? Power shifted from retailers to the fans, so there was a power shift to the people. Along the way, Bronfman turned down EMI's offer to buy Warner for $31 a share. In 2011, Access Industries bought the failing Warner Music Group from Bronfman for $8.25 a share. Most of what remained of the Bronfman family money was lost in this deal. On December 22, 2013, Edgar Bronfman Sr. died at age 84. His personal net worth was estimated to be several billion, which was divided up by his 7 children and wife. Sarah and Claire, who had already borrowed against their inheritance, got an estimated $250 to $300 million each. Okay, Sarah and Claire. That's NXIVM. It's hard to imagine that under Keith Raniere's guidance, they have increased their net worth. They blew through their first trust fund before their father died. In early 2005, they began covering Raniere's losses in the commodities market. From January 2005 to late 2007, Raniere, trading through First Principles Inc., a company registered in Nancy Solomon's name, would lose close to $70 million, and the Bronfmans would cover $65.6 million of it. Okay, you can see that the Bronfmans are directly intertwined and connected to NXIVM. By late 2007, they sunk $26.4 million into a Los Angeles real estate project that ran amok. They also spent an estimated $50 million in lawyers on litigation against Raniere's enemies. They have lost almost every lawsuit. And so here's another picture of the two of them, Edgar and Sam Bronfman, son and father. It has been said that despite their wealth, the Bronfman family were, in terms of global power, only frontmen, quote, cutouts, whose main purpose was to provide cover for the criminal activity of those much higher up the financial food chain. Over 3 generations, the Bronfmans, mainly through Edgar Jr., lost most of their ill-gotten wealth. The comparatively small share inherited by Claire and Sarah has been spent in outsized proportion to enable Keith Raniere to push and hurt thousands of human beings. In this, they are much like their grandfather, cutouts for Rainier, able to hurt others enormously with each dollar they spend, and they foolishly squandered money like Edgar Jr., guided by the self-proclaimed world's smartest man, Keith Rainier. In that respect, it is a mercy, for every dollar they spend or waste is one less dollar they can use to punish other human beings. And here you have the former CIA head and President George Bush with Edgar Bronfman. And so you can see, and we all know that Bush is absolutely tied to the puppets and to the CIA and to the clowns and all the other stuff that's going on. And you can see that the Bronfmans are intertwined and connected to all of this, as well as the Rothschilds and several other people. This is why I tell you that the NXIVM arrest of Epstein, arresting Jeffrey Epstein, is the beginning of a massive, massive fallout. You're going to have football players, baseball players, soccer players, all these people's names are going to become exposed because of the Epstein things. Epstein's going to probably, most likely, tie into the Branson family and that island as well, and then that's going to open up a whole nother massive set of names, and it's going to be kind of like a snowball effect. So, and these are just pictures. You got Claire and Sarah Bronfman here, and then you've got Claire and Sarah Bronfman's leader, Keith Rainier, and that's the end of the article. So guys, I hope this has helped you to get a background understanding of what's happening and how all this gets funded and how these syndicates operate, and that the bottom line of it is that we, the people who have been asleep up until we got awoken, some of us 12, 15 years ago, some of us recently, some of us just today. Everyone's on a different stage of their awakening and growing in their awareness and understanding of what's happening. So hopefully this has helped people that didn't have a background understanding to understand exactly how this came about, how this all connects, and how all of this functions. Unfortunately, all of us that were asleep are the very ones that are funding our own slaughter. It's crazy, but it's absolutely true, and it really is the truth. So guys, I'm going to get on off here. Just remember to get in the Word, stay in the Word, and get the Word in you. It's the most critically important thing that you can possibly do. It's the only thing that allows you to see and guide your feet in all the lies and deceptions and spells and witchcraft and sorcery that's going, necromancer that's going, all the stuff that's going on. It is the Word that allows you to see where to go and how to go and to discern all the things that are taking place around us. So remember that other than the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, the two most important things are love and truth, and after that is peace and justice. So guys, I'll talk with you guys later, and peace be with you all.